significantly, or at least it should, from the GST reform is the health insurance space. With the new GST reforms exempting life and health insurance policies, the benefits that will be passed on to consumers is something that we have to speak about, and whether they're available starting now. Pallavi is joining in with some of those details. Pallavi, what have you been picking up? You've been speaking to quite a few of these players.
Absolutely. And, you know, like you said, one of the big changes and one of the big benefits expected from the GST rationalization was to health and life insurers, the exemption of health and life insurance policies. Now, these measures, like all others, are expected to kick in only from September 22nd. But we can see that several health insurance players have already actually rolled out these policies without charging GST. Now, the second big thing that we should also remember is that there was a lot of debate regarding what the extent of the pass-through will be, but nearly all of these players which have rolled out this pass-through have done it at full 18%. There were some concerns regarding how these players will adjust input tax credit and whether they will be able to pass on the full benefit. So far, from what we have been able to gather, is that they have actually passed on the full benefit. But let's remember, some terms and conditions do in fact apply. It does appear that while these benefits are being passed on, they are actually effective only starting September 22nd. What that means is you can purchase a health insurance policy or renew a health insurance policy and not have to pay the 18% GST that you were earlier paying, but up until September 22nd, you will not have access or you will not be covered by these policies.
Pallavi, insurers have also been meeting the government to push their case for input tax credit. Is it safe to assume that once they have that meeting, and now that you've highlighted this fact that insurers are expecting people to be uncovered despite paying for a policy for at least 11-12 days, that this is also something they may have to roll back? Because the messaging is very clear that this needs to be passed on without conditions applicable.
Right. So, you know, we are speaking to multiple players on this front as well. And what we have been able to gather is that these conversations are still a work in progress, and even insurance companies are still contemplating the way ahead. And a lot does depend on how these conversations pan out with the finance ministry as well as the regulator. So, you know, Tamanna, one option that we may see play out is that eventually these insurance companies might have to hike up the base premium by some extent to make up for the loss on the input tax credit front, unless, of course, something fructifies otherwise in these ongoing discussions.
It's interesting because, thanks so much, Pallavi, for drawing the attention to this, because Tamanna, even in our conversation with PB Fintech, a policy bazaar, which effectively also sells some of these policies, they said that the margin available to them as sellers of these policies is not very large. Right? A large part of that is made by the insurance companies. And also, there was this buzz about whether commissions would fall for the distributors. They said, can't possibly. Of course, this is coming from the mouth of the horse.
So let me give you the policy perspective, and you know, we had an opportunity to speak to so many policy makers at the NDTV Profit GST conclave. There is going to be zero tolerance if there is any scrimping on passing on these savings. Increasing premiums is, I don't think, going to be a possibility. And even the story that Pallavi has highlighted, this is an important factor, that you're expecting people to pay a premium but be uncovered
For 12 days.
For 12 days. That just doesn't seem very fair. I think they're going to have to maybe reverse it.
Yeah. In fact, if indeed the stance and the responses to companies who are talking about this from the policymakers is anything to go by, this won't fly.
Because this seems to be a move to incentivize somebody to come and purchase something, but saying, hey, you know what, maybe you can come and pick it up later, or you can start using it later, but buy it now.
But not for insurance.
Exactly.
And especially for something like car insurance, life insurance, it doesn't seem fair.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Okay, let's start.